we're saying is that the public markets, if a technology fits our criteria, which yours does, okay, you're better off in the public markets than you are in the being private. And that we can build a market valuation effectively so the company can sustain itself, doesn't need us, doesn't need you.
Right.
We can all get hit by buses and it can do its thing on its own, right? And so how do you do that? Well, you have to tee up the opportunity properly so that it will trade well in the public markets and that people want to even invest in the company. And so...
Do you do it through a reverse? Is that your vehicle?
We used to, we don't do it anymore. We're
Okay.
going to do just IPOs, small IPOs.
Okay.
Reverses just end up being a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And you give value to people that don't do anything for it. And so, what we're doing now is relatively simplistic. What we do is we really pull the opportunity together in a number of ways. It usually is a 6 to 9 month process, and then we fund that early. So we put together a small financing so that we get everything going. And if this project is, you know, ready to roll, we'd fund that and make sure that that's, you know, everything is pulled together well. In that pull together process, what do we do? We're essentially taking it from being an unfinanceable opportunity to a financeable opportunity.
Okay.
That's essentially all we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the magic of what we do. Okay. But in that process, we fundamentally set the company up in a great position to succeed longer term.
Because you're already thinking in SOX terms and...
No, SOX is really not that.
Okay.
Not that. It's not even a factor in our planning really, because being public today is really not that difficult if you've got good people. But
the company's more professionalized in this kind of process.
You know, you have a team that's been there, done that, right? So what we do is really simple. We're essentially the entrepreneurs that launch this opportunity. We're not there running it. Okay, we will help guide it, but what we do is essentially very simple.
Okay.
Put together a board, put together a management team,
okay,
put together a business strategy, put together a financing strategy, and most importantly, put together an MP strategy. Because all the data that we've ever seen suggests to us that the only way that we will maintain our valuation, our sustainability to finance this, because we don't know where we are in the development cycle. In other words,
right,
what we're going to try and do is go out there and sell it, that this is just right around the corner, which is what you're trying to do with this Bush deal, right? You don't know how long it's going to take, what the payoff's going to be. This is an experiment they're willing to pay for. It's wonderful. The wonderful thing about this is that the contraption doesn't cost a lot of money, and you've pretty much technically worked. You're going to do it in a large scale pretty quickly and see how it works.
Right.
Right? It's wonderful.
The hard work's done. Now the rest is tweaking.
Yeah.
But that's not minor. But
you hope, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You hope, right? And so the idea is that what we would want to set this company up to be is the worldwide leader in whatever we're going to call this process, right? So we have to do that. We have to have a pretty well orchestrated strategy to make sure that we can actually get margin from this business longer term.
Right.
And the only way you do that is continue to innovate and make sure that you've got the best contraption on the planet, and you've got the best IP strategy on the planet so that people are forced to pay you margin. It's as simple as that. And by doing so, the public markets recognize that. They understand how big this is. They understand that, I mean, the flexibility that you talk about in this system and the robustness from temperature ranges to what's in the goop, and then ultimately the fact that it operates at a level, it's so robust the way it works, right?
Right.
Again, that's really cool because in all these process type stuff that you see, none of them seem to work as beautifully as what you have articulated here. And that's why I say this looks like a miracle, which is great because we're not interested in it. It doesn't look like a miracle, but whatever it is, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to debate whether it works or not right now because it's irrelevant until we get into that, right? But so what we do is then put all those strategies together, bake it, get it public, and get it to trade at a big valuation. Ultimately, your dilution longer term, your dilution and the people that are involved in this, is going to be so much smaller than any other route that you could ever go. And that's our value add. Essentially, that secret sauce that we've put together and being able to marry all these things and get them to trade a big valuation means ultimately that the founders of this corporation are going to, are going to suffer less dilution, but more importantly, suffer a lot less risk. Because all the things we're doing are holistic approaches to building a business.
Yep.
Great management team, great board that's been there, done that.
Yep. Not
big company guys that have never done it. They're going to just irritate the hell out of all of us, right? But guys that understand taking something from nothing and making it into something, right? Making sure that we're the worldwide leader in the research, that we protect it from an IP perspective, that we overfinance it so that we take financial risk out of the equation, so that in the midst of commercializing it, somebody hears what you're doing and fires an IP lawsuit at you, and next thing you know, you got a hole in your hull and you can't raise a quarter now. Right. We do exceedingly clean capital structure, all straight common stock. We don't do ratchets, preferreds, whatever else. We don't put our guys on the board, we put the best guys on the board. So we work together to put together an all-star board that's appropriate for commercializing the vision that we're going to craft together for the company, right? And then, after we've financed it, which to us is really the easiest part. The hardest part is getting it together so it can be financed, right? Then when we finance it and get in the public markets, we want to maximize the valuation afterwards. But we've got an all-star, by this time we've got an all-star management team, board of directors, scientific crew, great strategy, great IP strategy. We are now, in the minds of the investors, the worldwide leader in this thing, as opposed to a small company that's trying to get lucky.
Right, absolutely.
Because that's, when you're out there, people say, wow, Jesus, that looks pretty cool, but how do I know you're the only one doing it? I mean, you have to put yourself in the mind of the investor. How do I know you're the only one doing it? How do I know that you're not going to get trampled by these? We eliminate all those doubts. That's what we're in the business of doing.
Right.
Eliminating variables, eliminating doubts, minimizing risk, and ultimately, if this ROI model never comes to be, those bacteria aren't as effective as we thought, or there's some other thing that we didn't think about in the commercialization process, we've managed a hell of a lot of risk, and, because ultimately we've raised enough money to maybe fix some problems that come up. Right.